emergency podcast. Dorian Finney-Smith sent to the Lakers. What's your reaction?
My first reaction was like I jumped out of my skin.
Gets it off in time. And he's got it, baby! Big time Nets win!
The only Net fans you know? The only Nets fans you know? Man. I mean, come on, man. Or are these guys?
Welcome back to Only Net Fans You Know podcast. I'm Peter. Emergency podcast. Dorian Finney-Smith sent to the Lakers. This is being recorded less than an hour after the trade, and I've added some parts post-production so you guys get our full real reaction as well as the most up-to-date information. So welcome back to the show, Gary, Nets live streamer from Nothin But Nets. The trade is Dorian Finney-Smith, Shake Milton going to the Lakers for Maxwell Lewis, D'Angelo Russell, and 3 second-rounders, 27, 30, and 31, all Lakers owned. What's your reaction?
My first reaction was like I jumped out of my skin because I got a D'Lo jersey. I could bring the D'Lo jersey back. I got a backcourt of D'Lo and Cam Thomas now, which I want to get into more. We'll see what his role with the Nets is, but I was excited for the trade. It gets Dorian Finney-Smith off the books for an expiring deal. We get a bunch of seconds. There was rumors for a Memphis and a protected first. We can get into that, but I really like this trade. I think, if anything, if they don't buy D'Lo out, he's going to help sell tickets. He's going to bring back some D'Lo jerseys to the Barclays Center. I really, really like the trade. Plus, Max Lewis, I've just been doing a little bit of scouting on him. A 6'7", 3-and-D wing who hasn't shot well in very limited minutes in the NBA, but looks like he's got potential, could add some value long-term. So I really like the trade.
Taking a step back and looking at all the pieces of the deal, breaking it down, this deal really mirrors what they got back from Golden State for Dennis Schroeder. You get the expiring deal, you get the second rounders, and you get a young prospect. The 3 draft picks all belong to the Lakers. They're all second rounders. The years are in 27, 30, and 31. 27 is a conditional second round pick because of a deal that they made with the Jazz. In 2027, if the Lakers finish 1 through 4, that second rounder will convey to the Jazz and not the Nets. As Gary mentioned before, Maxwell Lewis was part of the deal. He's 22 years old, small forward out of Pepperdine, drafted 40th overall in the 2023 draft. He was all West Coast Conference in his sophomore year when he was drafted. He averaged 17 points a game, 34% from 3, 5 rebounds. His NBA comp is Devin Vassell from the San Antonio Spurs. For what it's worth, he has 8 games in the G League this year, 18 points a game, shooting 42%, 33% from 3, 6 rebounds, a steal and a block a game, 3-and-D type of player. But the knock on him is his defensive intensity, lights-out shooter, a nice little flyer. Jumping back into it, I'm going to ask Gary what he thinks about D'Lo possibly staying with the team. D'Lo, not great numbers this year. I think this is more of like a stopgap type of deal, right?
Yeah, D'Lo was not really fitting in the offense in Los Angeles. I thought he would have more of a fit. I thought that JJ would want to utilize him. He's really, I knew at some point he was going to get moved. He just doesn't fit in that offense. He's got an expiring deal. It's an attractive piece to move. And I always hoped that it was the Nets, and here he is. But he's not going to add, I don't think, much to a win total.
So you're not concerned about him ruining the tank?
No, I don't think D'Lo is going to ruin the tank. I don't think D'Lo, like I said, he's going to win you one game in February where he scores 35, 40 points against Toronto or Washington, and everyone goes crazy. But, I mean, we've seen D'Lo now the last 5 years or so since he's left Brooklyn. We know what he is. He's not a guy that's winning you games.
Well, what do you think about Dorian Finney-Smith going to the Lakers? We just saw Dennis Schroeder, who is absolutely killing it with the Nets, go to Golden State, and he's definitely hit a road bump. I don't think he's averaging even 10 points a game with them. How do you think that's going to work in LA with JJ Redick and that Lakers team?
Well, I think this was a move done by GM James. I think the GM James had his fingers all over this. Dorian Finney-Smith is a LeBron James type of role player. He's gritty. He rebounds. He's a veteran. He defends. He can defend multiple positions. He's content with his role. He's got a high basketball IQ. This is a guy. I was not expecting him to go to Lakers. When I saw the trade, I said, "Yeah, this is LeBron." I'm not saying it's a bad move. It's a good move for the Lakers. I think you're gonna like what Laker fans. You're gonna like what you get in Dorian Finney-Smith. He's a very, very good player. He's a very good role player. To me, he offers more value than Cam Johnson, who I think is, a blunt object. He does one thing. He runs 3-point line to 3-point line, shoots a three. Dorian Finney-Smith adds value. Dorian Finney-Smith is a good basketball player. So you guys are going to like what you got in him.
Yeah, there was another trade talked about as recently as the other day of Conchar, Luke Kennard, and a protected first for Dorian Finney-Smith. Kennard would have been a long-term piece. He's making about $6 million, injured 3-and-D guy, a little older than Maxwell Lewis. I wasn't too fond of the piece, but obviously Kennard could have been maybe swapped out. Maybe you put him in a bigger deal, you get more second rounders. And obviously the prize of that deal would have been the protected first. So looking at both trades, would you rather have the protected first or the 3 seconds? Considering the players and the contracts.
The protected first was extremely protected. It was protected beyond lottery, they said. They didn't give the exact details, but Mark Stein reported this and went deeper than just lottery. So I'm guessing it was like top 20 protected. Yeah, he said it went beyond lottery protections. So that being said, a late first and an early second, to me, isn't a whole lot of difference, except that the second is a non-guaranteed pick, right? You don't have to have the guy on your roster. There's no guaranteed contract to him. So in some circumstances, we don't know what the Nets are going to look like in 2027 or 2030, 31. This may be better. Having 3 seconds may be better than having a first. So I actually prefer the Lakers deal, not knowing the exact details on the protection, but knowing that it was heavily, heavily protected. You're probably getting a very late first rounder. I guess it would have been nice to have it, but 3 seconds offers more flexibility. Plus, I don't love either player that would have come over in the Memphis trade. I think I would rather roll the dice with an unknown like Max Lewis, who appears to have some upside. He appears to be he may be able to be a 3-and-D guy down the road. 6'7", 6'10" wingspan, highly athletic. He's not just a stationary shooter. It's going to take some development, but there's offensive upside to him beyond just being a shooter.
All right, let's grade the trade. Looking at all the pieces that were just announced, I think less than an hour since the trade has been done. We haven't really dissected it too much and had not too much time to sit with it. But first reaction, what's your overall grade?
Well, this is tough. So if I gave the Schroeder trade a B, I gave it, and I gave the Bridges trade an A+. This is somewhere in between that. All the money coming off the books to me is close to a home run. So I'm going to give it a B+, borderline an A-, but I'm not going to be that friendly of a grade. I'm not going to get that much in my feelings. I'm going to give it a B+. I really like the trade.
Just thinking about it right now, the Nets needed second rounders in those later years. The Nets second rounders were a little front loaded as far as the next few seasons. So that works out well, especially with LeBron James getting older and you have AD getting older. Lakers will always be in contention at some, level. They might have an off year or two that they miss the playoffs, but they're going to reload. The Lakers are the Lakers for a reason. You know what I mean? I don't think it'd even be that crazy to assume that there might be another star in a Lakers uniform by the time that we get to see those picks come to fruition. And the off chance that the Lakers do suck, they could be some high second rounders. The main point of this is that you have these assets that you can use to kind of maybe for a trade. If you do want to go for a superstar, it's nice to have these little extra picks. And let's face it, Dorian Finney-Smith, he has an option. He was not going to come back to Brooklyn. This was going to be an opt-out type of situation, an expiring contract. So for an expiring contract, you get a nice young player, 3 second rounders. I'm going to give this I guess an A-. I'm actually going to give him an A- because I don't think you could have gotten more than 3 second rounders. You wind up getting pretty much the tank, I guess, pushed forward basically by not having Dorian Finney-Smith on the roster for the next couple of weeks. If you would have held on to him through the trade deadline. Put all that together, a solid A- deal. Good job, Sean Marks. Now let's move CJ.
We don't get to say that too often. Good job, Sean Marks. Well done.
I'm happy I'm here. I don't want to say that but if you play for Brooklyn, you know what I mean. You don't want to be the little brother in the city. So I'm finally, with the big brothers. So that feels good.
So I couldn't put this out without talking about the whole Dorian Finney-Smith little brother comment. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think this was a shot at the fans. I really do believe this was a shot more at the front office. Keep in mind, Dorian Finney-Smith was supposed to be traded last offseason. his agent told him that a deal was pretty much done, and then it falls through last minute. And we've seen this time and time again. Spencer Dinwiddie a couple weeks ago. D'Lo had some comments the first time he came back to Brooklyn after he left in the KD trade. All right, Gary, let's get a plug in there for you.
At Nothin But Nets, that's nothing with an apostrophe, Nothin But Nets. I go live the day after pretty much every Nets game, so you can find me there. Pete's on a lot. I got a lot of different guests from the Nets YouTube universe. Appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on, Pete.
I'm going to make a brief little announcement over here. I'll talk about it more next episode, but the channel is now monetized, and I've opened up memberships if people are interested in it. If you guys like the episode, consider leaving a like, consider subscribing. You can follow me at NetFansYouKnow on Twitter. Have a great day. Have a great night. Happy New Year. And let's go Nets.